this video, I'm not gonna show you any images showing that Alice sent a transaction to Bob, Bob sent to Dave, and all that crap. Instead, I'd like to concentrate on why many people, and Charles Dickinson in particular, think that Hedera Hashgraph is a centralized garbage. So let's dive in. So let's cover some basics. The new ledger is changing the world of distributed technologies by using a few key technologies such as ABFT, proxy staking, virtual voting, and Gossip protocol, which enables a fast, fair, and secure network. That's right, it's called Hedera Hashgraph. So what is Hedera Hashgraph? To begin with, I'm gonna start by saying that blockchain is a type of distributed ledger technologies, or DLT, where the data is grouped into blocks which are logically connected, hence the name blockchain. Hedera Hashgraph is DLT, but not a blockchain, because it does not have blocks. Instead, it's got events, which are essentially containers for transactions, but a bit later about that. So what is it, and why some people call it the blockchain killer? When we think about the first decentralized distributed ledger, most likely Bitcoin comes to our mind. Yes, it's catapulted cryptocurrency and blockchain technology to the forefront of the finance and tech news cycle. But technology marches forward and evolution does its own logical steps. And let's be honest, Bitcoin has already failed to become a standard for everyday payments, as it's simply too slow and inefficient. Yes, there is an option to speed up transaction process by using Bitcoin's Lightning Network, also known as off-chain approach. And there is some movement in El Salvador in this regard. But there is still a lot of work, a ton of work that needs to be done. So why all this hassle if we already have appropriate technology? And if we look at this image, Hedera Hashgraph claims to be much faster, fairer, more energy efficient, stable, and secure than Bitcoin. And all of this is achieved through Hashgraph consensus algorithm and the global enterprise governing body. And this is exactly what I want to talk about. Hashgraph is a new way of reaching consensus, where proof of work that requires gigantic energy consumption is out of the equation, instead through a virtual voting process that is enabled by nodes doing what is called gossiping about gossip. A group of people reaches consensus. Again, Hashgraph is an alternative option when it comes to reaching consensus, and it is different from what popular blockchain offers. It is different as it uses the following protocols: gossiping about gossip and virtual voting. So what is Gossip protocol or epidemic? Hashgraph consensus mechanism functions as a mix or combination of the Gossip protocol in the form of gossiping about gossip with a virtual voting algorithm. This allows to abandon proof of work and reach consensus securely and efficiently. In Hashgraph, every node or computer in a random order can send signed information, also known as events, on newly created transactions or transactions received from others to its neighboring nodes. Basically, when the new events incorporate the hash of the previous events into one, then all the nodes within the network will have a full history showing who communicated to whom and in what order. Okay, in simple terms, when node A picks a random node B and node A tells everything it knows that node B doesn't already know, is called Gossip protocol. But when they tell where that information is originated from, is called gossiping about gossip. I hope that is clearer, so let's talk about virtual voting. Since the Gossip protocol gives the ability to members within the network to have a copy of the hashgraph with a full history of transactions, then with 100% certainty each node could predict how other nodes would have voted if an actual voting to take place. Okay, based on the concept of voting, virtual voting consensus model is more advanced mechanism and offers the ability to vote without the need to actually send voting messages, which improves scalability. Hashgraph is mathematically proven to be asynchronous Byzantine fault tolerant, or ABFT. ABFT provides the ability to the network to tolerate any number of faulty nodes, providing the fact that less than 1/3 of the nodes are malicious attackers. No single node can stop the network from achieving consensus, and no single node can make any amendments once consensus has been achieved. As well as that, resilience against DDoS attacks and firewalls is being provided by ABFT. In theory, this makes the hashgraph algorithm more secure than blockchain. If you look at this image, then you can see that Hedera Hashgraph is a public distributed ledger, which resides on permissioned network, which is operated by Hedera governing council members. Hedera Hashgraph is on the way to become public permissionless, which is the most decentralized option, but only after there is no option that one malicious user or group of users can hold 1/3 of the total supply to conduct an attack. When it comes to the governing body of the Hedera Hashgraph network, then it will be Hedera Hashgraph Council, which will consist of up to 39 members from diverse industries and geographies, and they will be responsible for the distributed governance of the organization. Equal voting rights will be split between all governing participants of the Hedera Hashgraph Council. This structure offers more decentralization than a sole organization with a few people making all the decisions. According to Hedera's governance terms, no single member will have control and no small group of members will have undue influence over the body as a whole, as well as that each member will be limited to a 3-year term with a limit of 2 consecutive terms. This does not apply to the owner and licensor of the Hashgraph technology, Speralt Incorporation, who will keep a permanent seat on the council. Since Hedera Hashgraph codebase is open review, anyone will be able to read the source code, recompile it, and verify that it is correct. This guarantees transparency as there is no chance to change the codebase without everyone noticing those changes. Having said all of that, the conclusion I'd like to make is that we get the network that is able to achieve mathematically proven fairness and bank-grade security. And this is exactly what's needed when it comes to adoption of distributed ledgers. But why Charles Dickinson called Hedera Hashgraph as centralized garbage? Is it because of the governing council structure? Is it because Hashgraph technology is patented? Well, I don't really care about his opinion, and to be honest, I can hardly listen to his hoarse voice, and broadcasting live sounds as the most depressing thing I've ever heard. But the thing is, when such an individual with a considerable number of subscribers says something like that, it can have a negative influence on people's opinion. But even if he's right, what does it mean that Hedera Hashgraph is a scam? An organization that managed to trick companies like Google, IBM, Boeing, you name it. I truly think that we can't switch from being fully centralized to decentralized. I think we need something in between, and that's where Hedera steps in. I think Hedera Hashgraph has got all the chances to stay in history as the world's first mass-adopted public distributed ledger. Think about that.